Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, man, we got a video about one of my favorite YouTubers, Barry McCockiner, titled Every NBA Team's Biggest Draft Bust Ever. It's not Darko. It's not Darko. We got a championship ring with him. Melo might have joined the Pistons. He could throw off the chemistry, man. It's Austin Day. It's Austin Day. To do it with 6'11", worked out with Kevin Durant in the offseason, and he was literally Walmart Kevin Durant. Not even Walmart, man. Damn clearance section of Walmart, bro. Like that shit, that assistant, man. A damn original price at $61.99. You get that bitch for $2, and someone fucking buys it.
In this video, I'm going to name every NBA team's biggest draft bust ever. It doesn't matter if a player was technically drafted by another team on draft night. I only considered what they did with the team they started their careers with. I hope you enjoy. Atlanta Hawks, DerMarr Johnson. Johnson was a member of the infamously terrible 2000 NBA draft.
DerMarr Johnson, this dude, wasn't this dude like 6'8", like a shooting guard?
6'8".
No, I'm thinking of, oh wait.
Small forward who could shoot the three ball at a respectable rate, but his time with the Hawks was very short and nearly fatal. After two disappointing seasons to start his career, Johnson was in a near-fatal car crash before the start of his third year. To his credit, he fought back from near paralysis to play a few more years in the NBA, but it's safe to say Atlanta had more in mind than just two subpar years for this former 6th overall pick. Boston Celtics,
I'm happy he's okay.
Montrezl, a 7-footer out of UNC who was taken 9th overall by Boston in 1994 and lasted just 2 seasons with the team before spending the rest of his disappointing NBA career as a journeyman. Montrezl never found his way in the league, and considering his lack of shooting ability, wouldn't have even made it in today's rookie NBA. Too. But luckily for him, back in the 90s NBA, teams still had a fetish for trotting out 7-foot stiffs every game simply because they were tall. Brooklyn Nets, Dennis Hopson. Hopson was a phenomenal scorer at Ohio State, and the Nets drafted him 3rd overall with the idea that he could continue that scoring dominance in the NBA. Safe to say, though, Hopson never came close to matching his college excellence. He played just 3 years with the Nets and never shot the ball well. He provided next to nothing as a rebounder, passer, or defender. He was also known to be a little soft. He would actually go on to win a ring with Chicago as a bench warmer in 1991, but there's no way around the fact that he stunk. Charlotte Hornets, Adam Morrison. Much like Hopson, Morrison was a legendary college scorer who was drafted 3rd overall, proceeded to play horribly with his drafted team, then won rings as a bench warmer before falling out of the league entirely. Morrison's rookie season was easily his best, which tells you just how bad
this man the next Larry Bird
was. He was supposed to be a knockdown shooter, but he couldn't shoot.
Not even Gary Bird.
All in all, he played in just 122 games with the Bobcats, proving once again how shitty of an owner Michael Jordan is. Chicago Bulls, Jay Williams. The Bulls drafted Williams 2nd overall in 2002 following his outstanding career at Duke. He was supposed to be the point guard of the future, leading the quote-unquote baby Bulls to success in the post-Jordan era. Unfortunately, it was not to be. Williams only played 1 year with the Bulls, an up-and-down rookie season that wasn't horrible, but not anything to write home about either. That offseason, he was in a motorcycle crash that gave him career-ending injuries and also violated the terms of his contract. Just an unfortunate scene all around. Thankfully, he survived and went on to have a successful career at ESPN. Cleveland Cavaliers, Anthony Bennett.
Oh my
For my money, Bennett is the biggest draft bust in NBA history, not just the Cavaliers. In all my years as a basketball fan, I've never seen any player, let alone a 1st overall pick, look so out of place on an NBA court. Bennett literally did nothing well, a fact that became apparent very quickly.
He don't even got a good NBA body.
After just 1 season in a trade to Minnesota.
Kyle Lowry
Bennett would play parts of 4 seasons with 4
Big Baby Davis
before falling out of the league entirely in 2017. It's hard to be worse than this guy was. Dallas Mavericks, Bill Garnett. No, he's not related to Kevin.
Hey! This is why I love Barry, man. Like, this dude got my humor, man. This dude gets my humor, man. I was literally just about to say that, bro. Oh, man.
I'm a genius, that's how. Unfortunately for Dallas, not only was Bill not related to Kevin, he was also the exact opposite of KG as a player, which is to say, he sucked major ass. He lasted just 2 seasons in Dallas, mostly as a backup part-time
Unlike KG, who blows major ass. I'm joking.
While every team needs these types of players, you don't draft a guy 4th overall with the hope of him becoming a role player. Garnett would last just 4 years in the NBA overall before his career.
No, I'm not drinking
Denver Nuggets, Nikoloz, Tskitishvili. I shit you not, a huge reason why Denver drafted Skita 5th overall in 2002 was because he made 10 threes in a row during a workout. Denver thought they were getting a more athletic version of Dirk Nowitzki, but unfortunately for them, once the game started, Skita forgot how to play basketball. He lasted just 2.5 seasons in Denver before being traded away. He lasted just 1.5 more seasons in the league after leaving Denver, mostly as a bench warmer.
I actually was in a Doug play in 5th grade, and I played Skeeter, and I painted my face blue, and I had the little lightning bolt, and I improv'd the honk honk. And my teacher was proud, and that was my greatest Oscar moment. And then Will Smith slapped me in the face. I'm just joking. That didn't happen, but
understand how badly
sure
this
you're
guy
about
sucked.
hearing about
Took
it.
626 shots in his career and scored just 507 points. Yeah, garbage. Detroit Pistons, Darko Miličić. Speaking of early 2000s European players who were drafted way too highly due to hearsay and teams being desperate to find the next Dirk, Darko Milicic famously went second overall to Detroit in 2003, ahead of Hall of Famers like Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Bosh. As we all know, Darko barely played as Detroit ascended into becoming champions in spite of their wasted draft pick. Darko lasted just 2.5 seasons in Detroit before finally being traded. He scored just 152 points on 174 shot attempts with Detroit and will forever be known as one of the biggest.
There's a play of Darko literally just like gaining this burst of speed, just like, oh, fuck this shit, I'm just done with this, man. Like literally he did it from like the top of the key or something like that. Just like this burst of speed. It just looked like damn LeBron James barreling down the middle. He like jammed it on somebody. I forgot who it was. And then I was like, damn, this is the real deal. And then he did it one time, and that was his career highlight.
Biggest bust ever. Golden State Warriors, Chris Washburn. Washburn was a member of the infamous 1986 draft class that saw multiple top draft picks succumb to drugs. The Warriors picked Washburn, 3rd overall, despite some off-court issues in college, hoping he could finally realize his potential, but it was not to be. Washburn played just 43 games with Golden State before being traded. Overall, he lasted just 2 years in the league before being permanently banned due to his drug addiction.
Man, this just goes to show, like, if you're like a short player and you love basketball, like just work on your skills, because you got so much of these tall-ass YMCA'ers up in here, bro, that just, like, are just there because they're literally tall, man. Like, that's literally just what it is.
222 career points.
No actual skills except just
genetics.
genetics.
Time in the NBA. Houston Rockets, Pat Riley. Pat Riley? The Pat Riley? Yes, that Pat Riley makes this list. Before he was one of the greatest coaches and executives in NBA history, Riley was the 7th overall pick in 1967 of the San Diego Rockets.
How tall is he?
The former University of Kentucky standout struggled once he got to the pros. He lasted just 3 seasons with San Diego, ending with more shot attempts than points and not really putting up much in the rebounds and assist departments. He later found a niche with the Lakers as a hustle role player, even winning a ring on the legendary 1972 squad, but that's far below what you expect out of a 7th overall pick. Indiana Pacers, Jonathan Bender. Another example of a prep-to-pro phenom gone bad. Bender was a 6'11" small forward who could handle the ball and shoot a little bit. He was essentially...
The man could play shooting guard. Like literally he was the biggest cheese code in like NBA 2K7. Like I would pick him up in like association mode and stuff like that, and I would just score 70 points a game with him. It'd be like him and like Jason Capono. That was my duo.
Hyped up to be Kevin Durant before Kevin Durant. And Indiana was so enamored by his potential they took him 5th overall in 1999. Unfortunately for both Bender and Indiana, his entire NBA career would be hampered by repeated injuries and never really got off the ground.
Numbers,
Indiana remained a contender in spite of Bender's injuries, which can only leave one to wonder how good they could have been had he panned out. Los Angeles Clippers, Michael Olowokandi. Olowokandi didn't start playing basketball until he was 18. He would go on to have one great year in college at a mid-major school, but everybody, especially the Clippers, who held the #1 pick in the year he was draft eligible, were enamored by his potential. There's that word again. In typical Clippers fashion, Olowokandi completely bombed and was a horrible player in his 5 years with LA. He never loved the game and was known to be lazy. But hey, he made almost...
That's actually kind of weird that he doesn't have any stats beyond 03, because like 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks per game. That's weird he didn't get like another chance after like somebody, man. Wow. I would have took him as my backup over Darko.
$40 million in the league, so in the end, I guess he still won despite his incredible levels of incompetence. Los Angeles Lakers, Wayne Yates. It was tough to find a player for the Lakers, as throughout their history, they've either hit on their top picks or at the very least had their picks become decent pros. The one exception to this is Wayne Yates, who the Lakers took 5th overall in 1961 with the hopes of him providing much-needed frontcourt help to the legendary duo of Elgin Baylor and Jerry West. Unfortunately for LA, Yates completely flopped, playing just one NBA season and putting up terrible averages in efficiency. He finished his NBA career with just 72 points on 105 shots. Memphis Grizzlies, Hasheem Thabeet. Thabeet is a twofold draft bust.
Man always had that damn comb in his hair, though.
In the league. He was also drafted
before
like several players who went on to become MVPs and first ballot Hall of Famers, such as James Harden and Steph Curry. Even at the time, people were questioning Thabeet's selection, and they were quickly proven right, as he lasted just 1.5 seasons in Memphis before being traded. traded. He was so inept offensively, he finished his Grizzlies career with nearly as many fouls, 235, as points, 261. I mean, there's really not much more to say than that. Stinky. Miami Heat, Michael Beasley. As somebody who watched Beasley at Kansas State, I have no idea how he didn't become a superstar in the NBA. He had all the tools to at least become a consistent 20 points per game scorer, but he just never put it all together. After being selected...
You know how, I would say, Jahlil Okafor is, a player that was after his time. Jahlil about 2 decades ago would have dominated. I feel like Michael Beasley, if he was drafted into the league today, he would be so much better. He was, built for today's basketball. More mobile, power forward and stuff like that. I feel like he dominated today.
Second overall in 2008, he had 2 missed seasons with Miami before being traded. A consistent pattern would then happen.
He was decent on the T-Wolves.
He would show flashes of brilliance in between long periods of terrible play. Miami even brought him back for a second stint in 2014 and 2015, but it didn't amount to anything. Disappointing he couldn't have a better career. Milwaukee Bucks, Robert Traylor. Traylor is really just a sad story all around. He battled weight issues throughout his life, which eventually ended way too prematurely at the age of 34 in 2011. His NBA career is most known for being the guy who was traded by Dallas to Milwaukee in exchange for Dirk Nowitzki on draft night in 1998. While Dirk would go on to become a legend, Traylor lasted just 2 years in Milwaukee, putting up meager numbers. He would bounce around the league for a few more years before playing overseas until his death. Minnesota Timberwolves, Johnny Flynn. Flynn will always be remembered most for...
Man, Johnny Flynn was a beast, though. Before he had, his injuries and stuff, this dude, I know he wasn't no Steph Curry, obviously, but he was a good basketball player.
For being the guy the Timberwolves stupidly took over Steph Curry in 2009, despite already having taken a point guard in Ricky Rubio. Flynn actually had a somewhat respectable rookie year, but he declined quickly afterwards, lasting just 134 games with Minnesota before being traded. He would last just 1 more season afterwards in the NBA before playing overseas. New Orleans Pelicans, Austin Rivers. Rivers has gone on to have a long NBA career as a 3-and-D type role player on some contending teams, but there's no way around the fact that his tenure with New Orleans was a disaster. He was taken 10th overall in 2012 and lasted just 2.5 seasons with New Orleans before being traded to his dad's team in LA. New Orleans, for the most part, has done a pretty good job with their top picks, so even though Rivers isn't the worst player in the world, he's the unfortunate recipient of this honor. New York Knicks, Kevin Knox. Knox is a guy who is just really bad at everything, which makes you wonder how the hell he was taken 9th overall.
See, I might still go with Ntilikina over him. I don't know. I feel like Kevin Knox could still just be chill his ass in the corner and be a PJ Tucker minus the defense, which is a corner 3-point shooter at that point. But I think Frank Ntilikina, man, I thought he had defense to player of the year potential,
2018 by the Knicks.
Maybe not
he
that,
ended up
but
lasting
all
3.5
team.
seasons in the Big Apple before finally being traded to the Hawks. He has shot under 40% in every year of his career.
Has he done anything for the Hawks this
season? The only thing he's good for is the occasional corner 3. But make no mistake, this guy smells. I was honestly skeptical of Knox from day one, as the wrinkles on his forehead looked like lips. This guy can literally blow you a kiss with his forehead. Disgusting. Oklahoma City Thunder, Mohamed Sene. Sene really had a fascinating career. Despite showing 0 previous signs...
He was a 57 overall in NBA 2K5. You literally just tapped into my brain. Wow, I remember this dude.
I remember this dude. Player. He was taken 10th overall in 2006 by Seattle due to his quote-unquote potential, which is to say he was tall and could block some shots. It became apparent very quickly that Sene wasn't an NBA caliber player, and he finished his NBA career with just 103 points and 47 games played. I mean, how the hell does a team
.5 blocks
on a player? I'll never understand.
I got .5 blocks that you're known for.
Mario Hezonja. Super Mario, as he's known, was yet another player drafted due to potential, but ended up just completely sucking ass his entire career. He had good athleticism, but really had no idea how to use it, and always looked lost.
Always good for dunking on Giannis, too.
Overall in 2015 by Orlando, and lasted just 3 years there before being traded. He would last just 2 more years
in the league
before going back overseas. But hey, at least he can tell his grandkids he once blocked LeBron, I guess. Philadelphia 76ers, Markelle Fultz. Fultz remains a complete mystery to me. When a player is picked first overall, they usually had a notable college career that generated a lot of attention, but not Fultz. I don't ever remember him even being talked about. Still, Philly took him first overall in 2017 to pair with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and it was a disaster. Fultz dealt with mysterious shoulder issues that completely ruined his shooting form. All in all, he appeared in just 33 games for Philly, finishing with more shot attempts than points. He's only been marginally better in Orlando, and I feel his time in the NBA
See, I'll probably go with either Jahlil or Michael Carter-Williams, because I know Michael Carter-Williams won Rookie of the Year, but I think that's a bust in its own right when you just give a team so much hope. And you're just man, my Rookie of the Year, and it's where'd that dude go? He's just garbage.
out. Phoenix Suns Dragon Bender. It should be illegal for a player this terrible to have such an awesome name, but nevertheless, he does. Throughout NBA history, teams have consistently taken risks in the draft.
In basketball, true, nice guy in real life.
Potential, and Bender is another example of that. At no point in his 4-year NBA career, including 3 with Phoenix after they picked him 4th overall in 2016, did he show anything resembling an NBA player. Really, the only thing this guy excelled at was looking like an off-brand Andrew Garfield. Gross. Portland Trailblazers Sam Bowie. I feel bad for listing Bowie here, as he was actually a decent NBA player when healthy, but that's the thing. He was just another example of a long line of injury-prone Blazers.
You guys think injury means bust?
Potential. But the real reason he makes this list is because, of course, he was picked ahead of Michael Jordan. People who say that's just hindsight don't know shit. Bowie literally missed 2 full seasons in college due to injuries, while MJ was the best player in college basketball. Sure, Portland had Clyde Drexler, but he'd only played 1 year at that point. Simply put,
it's an Odin situation, Odin Durant situation.
Over MJ, not in 1984, not now, and not ever.
Odin was
Sacramento
college,
Kings, Thomas Robinson. One of the easily forgotten draft busts, Robinson was drafted 5th overall by the Kings in 2012 and simply never found his footing in the pros. He was a classic tweener who couldn't shoot and really only excelled at rebounding. Sacramento traded him midway through his rookie year after he appeared in just 51 games with the team. Robinson would play 5 years in the NBA overall and was constantly on the move.
Yeah, he kind of like same regards as like a Tyrese Thomas. If you guys remember Tyrese Thomas, I believe he was from Florida. Yeah, like these power forwards that had like that crazy athleticism, you know, could get you a bucket in the paint, but once the NBA started progressing towards more of like a just you need more skill sets outside of just attacking the basket unless you're Giannis. You just couldn't, you know, it just wasn't like plausible for making an NBA career like based off his skill set.
For 6 teams. I feel like there was a good player in there somewhere, but he just never could put it together. San Antonio Spurs, Alfredrick Hughes. The Spurs were a tough decision to make because they almost never draft highly, and when they have, they hit home runs, aka Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So the poor bastard who gets this honor is Alfredrick Hughes. Hughes was a phenomenal scorer in college and was drafted 14th overall by San Antonio in 1985 with the hopes of potentially becoming the next George Gervin. That didn't pan out. Hughes lasted just 1 NBA season and finished his career with more shot attempts than points. Tough break. Toronto Raptors, Rafael Arroyo. I promise I don't have anything against foreigners, but Arroyo was a complete scrub that somehow tricked the Raptors into taking him 8th overall in 2004. He was a truly terrible player. He stood at a towering 6'11", 280 pounds, and yet he finished his stint with Toronto with more shot attempts
his
than
head
points.
Does not match
he wasn't
the rest
a
of
good
his body.
rebounder, he couldn't pass, and he didn't block any shots. He lasted just 2 years in Toronto before they cut bait. He hung on for one more shit year in Utah before being out of the NBA entirely. Utah Jazz, Dante Exum. I'm old enough to remember the Dante Exum hype when he was coming into the league. He was held up as an Australian Kobe, which is hilarious looking back.
Like 6'6" also, wasn't he?
Utah took him 5th overall in 2014, but Exum struggled with shooting and dealt with repeated injuries that stunted his potential. He just never really put it together and never became anything more than a hustle player off the bench. He lasted 4.5 seasons with Utah before finally being traded. He lasted 1.5 more seasons with Cleveland before falling out of the league after 2021.
Yeah, Lakers got to take a chance.
Currently playing
make that playoff run.
Washington Wizards, Kwame
Brown.
One of the most famous draft busts, and another that you can pin on Michael Jordan's incredibly awful talent evaluation skills.
You know what? There's 2 names that come to mind here. No, wait, I'm thinking on the wrong team. Who was the one dude that was drafted like a few seasons ago by the Wizards? He was just complete garbage. Forgot his name. Who was? That's gonna bother me now.
Brown was the first high schooler ever taken 1st overall, and obviously failed to live up to
it's gonna bother me,
which is a shame because if he had been drafted in the late first round or second round, his career would be seen as respectable. He lasted 12 years in the league, but Washington gave up on him after just 4. He provided almost nothing offensively, but was a solid defender. But you don't draft a guy 1st overall to be a solid defender and nothing else. Congrats to him on his second career as a social media celebrity now, though.
All right, that is the end of the video. That was I don't really like disagree. Like he made good reasonings for all those players. That's all we got. Thank y'all so much for watching. Peace out, my friends. It was Jan Vesely.